Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Cass here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you today. And this time, as we announced last week, we'll be basically analyzing several of your websites and businesses and stuff. And when we say analyzing, it won't just be like, hey, we'll look at it from like an SEO perspective. It will more so be from like marketing and business and some SEO as a whole. So it'll be kind of like what we would do if we were you. So we've emailed you a couple times on this. We've had a decent amount of you send your sites in. So I have a bunch of sites up right now. We probably won't get through all of them, but if you guys want, we can get through some more next week as well, if this is a topic that's of interest to you. And with that, before we jump right into the websites and stuff, if you're not yet a free member of our free Facebook group, make sure you go to getwebfire.com/FB group. So again, that's getwebfire.com/FB group. That's our Facebook group page there. Just click the join button. Sharon will probably instantly approve of you within probably like a couple minutes or so if you do so now. And at the end of this call, or towards the end, you'll have a chance to win $100 live on the call itself. So make sure to do that there, and we'll explain how and give you some instructions on how in just a bit. And as a side note, what I'll do in just like a minute, we'll jump straight to some of the websites. And I just want to say, like as a whole, a lot of sites I received. I went over all of them, but I wanted to just say, like, make absolutely sure, guys, that you read like your own sites, especially the headlines and stuff like that, because a chunk of time I'm seeing like a lot of obvious like spelling mistakes and typos and stuff. Which is, it's not a big deal if it's in like the smaller text, but if you have a headline that has that, it can sometimes like have, it can sometimes make the site look not as nice, and sometimes it can make it sound like a sales page. It might make people basically hesitate. If they see like a typo in a random small word, they probably don't care. But if it's in like a headline, that can basically make them pause and say, oh wait, is this a legit site? So I've seen that trend a little bit, so just want to make sure that you guys check all that. Happens to the best of us. I've even seen like, businesses worth hundreds of millions of dollars that do the exact same thing. So that's all good there. So without further ado, we can get the show on the road and jump straight to the different sites here. So you should hopefully hear my voice and see my screen. I'm on random.org, which we'll use to do the random drawing from in just a bit. But and again, I'll try to go through like a wide variety of different sites. There's a couple sites that were kind of comparable, so we won't necessarily have to go through like each one like that. But I try to pick a variety of them here. So one of the first ones up is this guy right here, and it's basically kind of like a social media marketing company based in Toronto. And you see, I have some notes up here for when I went through it. One of the concerns that they had, which I just wanted to address right here, is that they were looking to how to rank for more keywords and how to find like less competitive keywords, because they thought since Toronto is such a large city compared to some others, it's not the largest, but it's still a good size compared to some smaller cities. They think it's a bit more competitive of a term to kind of go for like digital marketing to Toronto and stuff like that, which is true. It might be like semi-competitive, probably not insanely competitive, but when you basically target like a local place like that, well, first you want to basically say, do you want to remain local? I mean, if you're doing social media marketing, basically the world can be your client. So I question if you really want to limit yourself right here, especially because on your sales page or on your website, right off the bat, I don't see anything that says you're specific to that area right off the bat there. So if you'd want to specifically focus in on that market, that would be a judgment call that you would have to make right there. But if you want to basically focus on anywhere, you can greatly expand, what your prospect list could be right there. So that's one thing I would think about right there. But one of the concerns they had was with all the different keywords that they could rank for, they don't want to basically keyword stuff, or they don't want to have like all the keywords in their headers and all that. And that's fine. And no one's saying that like if there's 10 keywords that you should try to rank for, no one's saying that you should put all 10 in a single title or in your keyword takes or anything like that. Typically, every page that you have is basically treated like a separate web page, or basically treated and can rank by itself. So every page you have, including your home page, including all the different services and stuff that you have, if you have these on another page, in this case you just have it right here, but every page you have can be treated like a separate thing. And one thing that I would encourage you to possibly do is under the services you have here, maybe make these things that you can click that would go to a separate page, where if you want to stay in the Toronto market, you could target terms like Facebook management in Toronto, or YouTube management in Toronto, or terms like that you'd have much easier time of ranking for. And if you have a separate page on each one, each of those pages would give you a decent chance to rank for that right there. And no one's saying like if there's maybe like let's say you thought Facebook management Toronto was a keyword that you'd want to go for. No one's saying that you should try to stuff that keyword in your main homepage. You'd have it be like a separate page where you would then target specifically that in your title and all that right there. Another thing that I would do as well, where it's like right now, I don't like the call to action you have. Like you don't really have much of one. You basically say, hey, here's the services that we do and all that. And then you say, get in touch. And again, that's not a good call to action. It's kind of like, imagine if you were about to buy a Christmas gift and you went on Amazon and you're like, hey, my nephew would really like this one race car right here. And the race car page then says, get in touch. It's like, no, you just want to buy. Now, I'm not saying in this case people would want to necessarily just buy right off the bat, but you want to have some kind of a call to action, like fill out this form for a free quote, or fill out this form for a free consultation, or something like that, because no one says, hey, I just want to get in touch for the sake of basically getting in touch. You have to give them a reason to get in touch with you right there. The other thing to keep in mind too is I don't know what your prices are, but anytime that you don't list prices and you have them contact you, what does everyone think? Like, if I were to survey you guys on this call, if I had a site where I didn't list the prices and the only way to get in touch was to contact me, what do you think my prices are? That's right, they're all saying like super expensive. Now, if that's the case, if you are expensive, that's okay. But if you're cheaper, like let's say you're only a few $100 a month or so, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because everyone might be assuming that you're thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So again, keep that in mind as well right there. The other thing that I would do too, I love the case study thing. I love the fact that you have case studies here, although I would say case studies instead of case study. But what I would do if I were you, like, I at first thought you just had like a little paragraph here. But when I clicked on it, which I normally wouldn't because most guys just read what's there, I see you have a cool little thing right here, which is actually quite neat. I like that you did this. But I have some tips for you right here. So you basically give an example of how you helped, in this case, a dentist place, and you give a little background. But let me ask you a question. At the end of the day, what do you think a prospect, or in this case, the dentist, cares about? Okay. In fact, let's survey everyone on this call. If you were to hire a place to do, social media management or Facebook ads or whatever, what do you think they would care about at the end of the day? The number one thing. All right. So looks like we have someone saying sales, another saying ROI, sales, profits. All right, you all get the idea. Everyone's saying sales, profits, making money, right? But the number one thing you show are like likes first. So it's like no one here on this call mentioned likes. The second thing that you show is your page reach. No one here on this call said, "Ooh, I really want to know the page reach. I really want to see that." Facebook reviews. No one mentioned it on this call, but I think that's, they might care a bit more about that than like likes and, reach and all that right there. So I like that you mentioned that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't mention this other stuff here. But you have the Facebook check-ins and stuff. And again, not bad to show and say that stuff. You talk about your educational posts and all that. I like where you're going with that. I like that you show the ads and all that. But the first time that you mentioned, new patients, which AKA would be sales, which you don't make it that obvious. I mean, you should say like new patients and extra sales or increase in sales, yada yada yada. You have that basically buried at the very bottom. So like the biggest thing that everyone here wants to see, you have buried at the very bottom. It's kind of like saying, like let's say you're trying to sell like let's say an SEO software, and you basically talk about how cool it looks, how it can help change all these tags and help do all this other stuff. But everyone wants to know at the end of the day, can it get you ranked? And in this case, yeah, you're saying it can, but you have that essentially buried at the very end. And you say, hey, looks like you have 10 new patients in September, and 20 in October, and 61 in December. That is awesome. That's really awesome there. It shows that there's like an increase, in all those patients there, but it's hidden. Make that obvious. And what I would do if I were you as well is I like the fact that you explain this stuff. I would almost turn the case study into like a blog post or like a Facebook ad itself, and basically word it like how this dentist in Toronto was able to increase his sales X amount of times. So I don't know offhand if he started with 10 or if you got him 10, but let's say he started with 10 right here. I don't know if that's 10 or that's 10 new ones from you. So you could say like, hey, how this dentist increased his new patients by like X%, or how he got like 61 new patients in just 1 month, with this method or technique here. And then you could explain the stuff that you did, like explain that like, hey, I did some educational posts like this. I did some entertaining ones like this. And because of what I did right here, it would help drive people here and there. And hey, look, it got all these, likes, got all this engagement, got all this reach. Yeah. So you can talk more about that stuff and say, and as a result, that ended up getting him, 61 new patients in the month of December alone. That's what the dentists want to basically see. So they click it and they read it because they're like, wow, I'm super curious how he accomplished this. But then once they read that, they're like, oh, wow, this is really neat. He made some funny posts. He did this other stuff. But what do they say at the end of the day? They're like, man, that's really cool. He educated me. Real awesome. But man, I don't know how to make a funny shark post or a funny Grinch post. I don't know how to run an ad. I don't know how to do any of this other stuff right here. I don't know how to post this on Facebook. I don't know how to do this or that. And they'll say, can I hire you? And you'll stand out from the crowd because they're already convinced that you know what you're doing, because you already showed them that, hey, you got 61 new patients for a dentist in December, and you explained your process, you impressed them. That's your social proof. They trust you at that point, and they want to hire you to do it for them as well. And you can rinse and repeat the process with every other kind of business that you have the social proof for right there. So I think you're sitting on top of a gold mine, and you don't realize it yet, because some of the best stuff you have is basically hidden. And after you do the case studies, at the end of the case study, have like a clear call to action that says like, hey, to have us help do all this for you, reach out to us here. Now, if you're on the cheaper end, you can even mention what the prices are. If you're on the more expensive end, yeah, then you might want to have them reach out to you first. But to say, hey, reach out to us here for a free consultation or see what we can do for you and blah, blah, or, some kind of offer, like that right there, I think would be highly effective. And if you do a case study type ad on Facebook, like a blog type post or a lawn post, those tend to be basically cheaper to get clicks to because they're more informational and they don't come off as an ad right there. So you can get some pretty good ROI just off of basically doing stuff like that. So I definitely would do that because I really think, one of the biggest benefits I see on your site, you have completely hidden. So hopefully this opens up your eyes just a bit right there, because I really think you could do a lot with what you have there with just a handful of easy tweaks to what you have. And then, if you go on the Facebook side, you could target the dentist, you could target the pizza shops, you could target the Mexican restaurants and all that right there. Or if you want to take a step above that, you could also, if you turn these into separate pages as well, you could try to rank for some of those as well. Like there'd be far less searches and stuff, but Facebook ad management, in Toronto. You could even go as far as like Facebook ad management for dentists in Toronto. You wouldn't get a ton of searches at all, but anyone that searches for that, you'd be like picture perfect, right there. But you could also go a step beyond that and reach out to all the dentists in your area, reach out to all the pizza shops, reach out to all the Mexican places, and specifically use the case studies that you just had right here to show, hey, what you did for this place, you can do for them as well. So when you kind of reach out to those guys individually like that, whether it be like, if you write them like a letter or like a postcard in the mail, if you call them, and, if you email them, and whatever it might be, that's one of the cases where reaching out like that could be very effective right there. But especially even on the Facebook ad side, that I would encourage you a great deal. And at the same time, you could do a lot of the SEO stuff to get some rankings as well right there. So Sean, is there anything else you want to add on this one before we go on to another one?
Hey, Maya just posted, said, thank you so much. It was awesome. The deep dive into the dentist case study really opened her eyes. She has a lot of great comments on what you said, but she had one question, which is, and I think you might have just answered it, was what kind of keywords would she be trying to rank for if she goes away from just Toronto?
Okay, sure. So if you're trying, and that's my ultimate advice would be like, you can start there, but you probably want to expand past that because there's like a lot more dentists in the world compared to just one city. But like if you're trying to expand out, one thing that you could consider in that case is just trying to rank for maybe like digital marketing for dentists or Facebook ad management for dentists. There's a lot less searches done, but all the kind of traffic that you get there would be like specifically zoned in to you. So sometimes like I'd much rather, and I know this sounds like a bit odd, I'd much rather go for like a keyword that gets like 50 searches a month that's completely zoned into the offer that I have than one that gets like 10,000 searches that is much more broad. Because when you zone in on those buyers there, especially, and again, I don't know your price points, but if you're like, even a few $100 to $1,000 a month or more, even like 1 or 2 sales each month off of that can start to add up pretty quickly and easily. So that's one thing there. So moving on to another one. This is basically a travel company in China called Forever Young, and they specialize, it looks like they say all ages, but really they specialize more in seniors. And I'd be a little careful when you'd say adventure travel, because that can sometimes like translate to like adventurous stuff that would be more like physical. Where if you're targeting an older crowd, you might want to consider if their first thought is, oh geez, you know, I don't want to jump out of a plane, or I don't want to hike for like 1,000,000 miles, you know, if they're 90. But that's not a huge deal, just a side thought right there. And it looks like you have a bunch of tours, a bunch of different things. And one thing that you do, that your site is entirely in English. So I don't know the exact target market that you're after. I don't know if you sell mostly to like people in the UK or the US or Europe. But one thing I do know is you have your prices, I believe, in the Chinese currency, which I'm assuming that if you're targeting people in China, you probably wouldn't have it in English. So if that's the case, I probably would list the approximate price in either like US dollars or pounds or euros, or basically all of those, or whatever your target prospect basically is, right there, just like right off the bat, right there. The other thing that I would do as well, it looks like you have like all sorts of tours and stuff like that, and it gets a little confusing because you have a lot of stuff here, including, as I scroll down right here, it looks like you have like a lot of courses. Like you have one where they can learn Chinese medicine, you have like a landscape art one, and you know, you have the Avatar Mountains, and you have a whole bunch of cool things that looks like it's more than just a tour. Like right here, you say it's a 4-day course. So is it like learning where they're basically taught stuff and they visit some places? It's not crystal clear exactly what that is. So it says it's a course, but it doesn't really say like, hey, do they visit a bunch of different places along the way where they learn about that? It says ask us how, but I really have some more information on that stuff right there. And this is the kind of site, you have so much stuff right here. I would almost like have each one also be like a separate page, so you could basically target each one separately. You can have them all on one page like this, that's fine. But on top of that, I'd also have like a separate page for each one. Like looks like some of these you do, like you have the read more, you know, on some right there. On some you just say ask us how, but I'd probably have to ask us how be a separate page as well right there. And what I'd also do is like when you have a page like this where you specifically target something like, I might be saying this wrong, but the Yangtze cruise or the Yangtze River cruise, make sure that you have the keywords in the title tags, like Yangtze River cruise is what I'd probably go for. And also in the URL can help a lot. Like right here, the keywords that you have in the URL are copy of option 7, which kind of sucks. Doesn't tell Google anything. Whereas if you say like Yangtze River cruise or something like that, that will give you a better chance of ranking as well, especially if you have that in the title tag as well at the same time right there. And this is the kind of thing that I think would also benefit, you know, if you have so much stuff right here, I would almost have like a video that has like basically an overview of all the different kinds of trips that you can do and all the different activities that you can choose from, and maybe pick like your top few most popular ones and have like separate pages and stuff on just those right there, and try to rank for keywords and videos and stuff like that. You could also for like stuff like down here, which is basically the landscape of like the mountains are in the Avatar movie, you could try to rank for various keywords related to the Avatar mountains and stuff like that, and you know, kind of have a whole page on just that, maybe even have like a separate video showing off some stuff that they'd see and what you do, and give a little more info, because you have so much stuff right here, it could be kind of confusing to start with. So I definitely, you know, would try to individually target a lot of these right here. And also when you have a page like this, like, you know, basically tours for the disabled, definitely you probably want a separate page on that too, but you want to target that like let's say Chinese tours for the physical disabled, or for like each specific one. Like let's say there was like a region in China that you basically do the physical disability tour on. Each one you could individually try to target that keyword. So the handful of people that are disabled that might search for essentially a tour in that place that's basically accessible for the disabled, or for the handicapped, you'd have a much higher chance of ranking for that right there, and you'd have a good chance of getting that client, because there's probably not like a ton of people trying to rank for stuff like that. So that's just a few things offhand right there. Sean, do you have any other thoughts before we jump to the next one?
No, and one thing I do want to say is that we jump on people a lot for using pictures that dominate the top of sites.
Oh yeah, yep.
Right, but on this site, as you scroll through, notice that the pictures become the background, and the pictures are a big part of what, and the images then lead to other things, and the images are an integral part of the site. And I think that there's a great job of visually capturing your attention using the pictures here, instead of being like, I landed on the page and all I saw was a picture of a boot, right? Like on the e-commerce sites. So for those who are wondering why we're not yelling about the pictures, it's because the pictures here are woven into the site very nicely.
Yep, good point. All right, so the next one, we have a flipping for profit in Canada. A there, oh there. So with that, one of the first things I saw was when I went to the site, I had a pop-up, and it just said subscribe to our mailing list. And I want to say why, especially when you're asking for my email and my cell phone. Why? It's kind of like if I sent you a message saying buy my stuff into your credit card. Most of you probably wouldn't, unless you knew a bit more about it, or you had an incentive to. Whereas right here, it's like you really need to have a call to action on that. Like, the pop-up could say like, hey, join our free, or get the top free, house flipping tips, to flip homes in Canada, or something along those lines. Right there, like get something, something easy for free. And then I would just ask for probably their email address first, then maybe on the second step ask for their cell phone, because when you ask for both at once, you greatly reduce the opt-in rate, because it's kind of scary. Whereas if you just have the email address first, you'll get more than if you ask for a cell phone on step 2, especially if you give them a reason why, like say, hey, we'll also send you some additional tips. If you enter your cell phone here, and then say, we promise not to, text you more than X amount of times a month or anything like that, and we'll only text you, with the latest, greatest blog posts and tips and all that right there. So give them a reason to right there. Other than I see like probably half the sites I look at tend to just have like an opt-in box that just says join my mailing list or subscribe here, and that doesn't work well. So moving past that, so this is clearly a site on how to flip homes in Canada. And there's only one that like looks like it's in Canada with all the snow there. Yeah, so right here, I'd say one, you have a lot of stuff on the left side, like a lot of different ads, a lot of a kind of like a distraction, which I'm kind of mixed on that. And I also see like, I'd much rather see like a simple call to action right here, like a simple kind of like opt-in sales page type process. Whereas right here, it looks like you're trying to get them to a live seminar. So I don't know if this is like an actual event at like a physical location, or a webinar. My guess is it seems to be like an actual location. So I would almost like probably get rid of some of the stuff on the left side and have it be just like, or you can make like a separate page, which would just be like a simple process. Like if you're, let's see, are you selling the tickets? Are you giving it away for free? Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like you sell it for about 50 bucks. Very odd price to say 47 bucks and 78 cents. So I'm curious if there's a logic to that right there. And yeah, so I would almost have like a simple page that has like a headline that pops out that says, hey, learn how to make a fortune flipping homes in Canada, live in, whatever city it would be, and then list off, a handful of the benefits that they'll learn. Like say, hey, at these events here, you'll learn how to X, Y, and Z. You'll also learn how to then like list off a handful of bullet points, and then I'd like that you have the social proof. But I would almost, instead of saying real estate deals, maybe have like a headline that makes like a bit more sense, like say, hey, here are some of the latest deals that us or our members have made right here. Like, I like how you say, hey, acquired this for this much, sold for this, made this much right here. I think that makes sense right there. And I like how you also say like the different kinds of strategies and stuff like that, as long as you also explain in the sales page like how they'll learn that stuff too, and all that right here. Like I see you list the stuff right here to some extent. That's fine, but I'd clean up the page a bit more because it's kind of, again, a little bit of a distraction with all the stuff on the left. I'd probably also have a better buy now button. Looks kind of like a little cheap and all that right there. And yeah, I think like that alone would help a great deal. I also, like you have a number here, but I'm not sure like what the reason is to call. And if someone's like scrolling through like really quick, like if they see it and they're like, hey, I want to know how much this is, they scroll down, they might not initially see this right here. And they might, essentially pass that, scroll down to the very bottom where usually people see like the sales page or the buy now button. And one of the things they'll see is basically a button right here to call, and they might think, oh crap, so to buy I have to call them. And yes, even though I know you mentioned it up here, a lot of people will scroll down just to look, and they might think that they have to call, and that can scare a lot of people away right there. But yeah, I would almost like fix up the page. I would probably, I'd say it might be worthwhile to like hire like a cheap graphics guy, just kind of redo the site, make it a little more like a traditional sales page almost for an event. List off what they'll learn, what the benefits are, list off your social proof after that, or you show off the different houses, list off the different methods that they'll learn, and then give the information on the event itself. You could even have a section that you change and say, hey, here are our latest events and stuff right here. It looks like right here, it's the same event that you list in two areas. I'm not sure why you have it listed twice, unless I'm missing something. But yeah, that looks to be the same event right there. So I just have it listed once. And then if you do a new event, you just change the location right there and change that. And that's the kind of thing that you could probably even run Facebook ads on. And what you'd want to also consider, which I would encourage you to think through, is I'm assuming you've done some of these events in the past, and this is not your first time. It looks like you've probably done at least some. I would consider that you would want to basically look at and say, hey, what is the value of someone that goes to your event? I'm assuming you sell some kind of course at the event itself. So you might find that, hey, you sell the tickets for 50 bucks, but you might make, let's say you sell like a $3,000 course there, and you might say, hey, 1 out of 3 buy there, so you make $1,000 ahead. You might want to say, hey, maybe you'd want to consider, if the conversion rate to the sales wasn't too high, you could try to give some tickets away for free. Now, depending upon the market, depending upon the place, that may or may not be a good idea, but it'd be worth testing. And then that's the kind of thing that if you ran Facebook ads to that, you could run ads, and you can test and see what is your cost to get a paid ticket versus if you have a free page clone, what is your cost to get a free ticket? And then what is your attendance rate on both of those right there. What you'll usually find, of course, is people that pay are slightly more likely to show up, and they might be a bit more likely to buy more. But what you might find is, hey, it might cost you $300 to get a $50 buyer, but you might make, if you make $1,000 off that guy, that's okay to lose money on the front end. But you might also find that, hey, for $50 or even 20, I can get a free ticket buyer that gets it for a free. And even if you have less of those guys show up, percentage-wise, you might find that you can make more in the long run off that. So I'd consider testing that if you haven't already right there. And definitely, this is the kind of thing that I would try to run some Facebook ads to. But I would try to clean up the sales page just a bit right there and try to make like the headline pop more, like maybe have it in like red or blue and have it be in bold and have like kind of like a more catchy headline, make it easier to read so someone can scroll through it. They can quickly see the benefits when you list off the stuff down here, have that in bold, have it pop out more. And I'd say like probably get rid of the stuff on the left side, or at least have like a separate sales page where there's less of a distraction. I mean, Sean, what's your thought or take on that?
Well, I agree with that. And the other thing is that really if you're going to have a sales page on a website, generally you don't want it to be your home page unless that's all you want people to focus on. So usually you'll have your home page that is trying to get traffic and make it random visitors, people checking out your site, people that want some different things, people that want access to your coaching, your apprenticeship program, or anything else, and that you'll have your home page let people find their way to where they want to go, but then you'll have a dedicated sales page that is just, you're here to find out about the seminar, buy the seminar. And right now, if I get on this and I'm interested in the seminar, but maybe I'm like, oh, wow, look, I can get on the newsletter, and I can go over here and I can sell this guy a house, and let me go read some articles, right? I mean, you're doing everything but leading people down the slippery slope to actually buying the thing that you set up the page for them to do. So you want to follow through with that.
Yep, good stuff. All right, so we'll do one or two more here. So another one right here is basically like a pet shop. And it's Pet Gifts in the UK. And first, they have a little logo in the top left, and the text there is so insanely small. It says, our aim is to provide really nice pet accessories you will love to buy. Even on like a larger screen, that's like really hard to read. So I'd say just get rid of that, or have that be like, more than like a fine print that you can barely read. And with that, like you have like a big space up here. Like it might be because you have that graphic right there. You have like a lot of empty blue space right there, which I'm not a big fan of because it basically takes up a lot of space. And you're also you're a pet place in the UK, which is fine if you want to target just the UK. Although I always encourage you to try to look beyond just like the local area as well. But one of the first things I see is a message in a bottle necklace. Now it's a decent price. It's free plus £3 to do the shipping and handling, but that has nothing to do with the pet. So I'm a little confused right off the bat if it's a pet store or mostly pets with some other stuff. So I would just again keep that in mind, or maybe have an offer here relevant to the pets. Now here's one I thought this was kind of cool right here. So it's a custom mobile phone cases, and I'm guessing that's a picture of what your own dog could be right there. So when I click that, I see some custom phone cases right there, and I click that right here. Let's go here. So it looks like you can have your own photo turned into a phone case, which I think is pretty cool. I would probably have an image, probably like it's great to have this to see a variety, but I would probably almost like show something where it's crystal clear that they can turn any picture, into a phone case like that, like maybe even have like a picture of the cat and then with like a little arrow that shows, hey, it can turn into a phone case. But again, this could be beyond just essentially dogs. And like right here, you say customized dog phone case, Apple iPhone, but you have a picture of people and a picture of a cat. So again, it's kind of like, it's a little less coherent. If you say it's a dog, but there's not a picture of a dog anywhere in sight here. Now, having said that, I think this is a pretty cool offer. Like I wasn't aware that, I mean, I'm sure you could do it, but I wasn't aware that you could, and I wasn't aware that it was this cheap to basically do, that you could have a custom phone case. I think that'd be pretty neat, right there. And this is the kind of thing that you could probably advertise for on Facebook and get a decent amount of sales right there. But one thing you'd want to do right off the bat is probably to say customized phone or customized Apple iPhone case for, and then list the models, and then say for any photo you have, then give like, in your ad or on the page, you can give examples like, hey, you can have a picture of your pet, you can have a picture of your friend, you can have a picture of some landscape that you think is really nice, or a sunset, or whatever you want right there, or any image that you want right there. And then I see you list off the phones that it works on right here. I would probably make that a little more obvious and list it off probably like right off the bat, have it be a little more bold right there. And this is the kind of thing that if you sent this in now for six pounds, my guess is you could probably get a bit more than that too. You might want to kind of test that a bit. But this is the kind of thing I think you could sell, and it's the kind of thing that if I were to survey people on this call, like in fact, I'll do it right now. Without seeing the price here, like imagine that you didn't see the price right here. If I said you could get a custom phone case for your latest iPhone or whatever phone you might have, or you could have any picture that you want on it, how much do you guys think that would be? Like what in your head do you think the price of that would be right there? All right, so Maya says 20 to 25. A couple of you say $10 right there. Another one says 20, and another one says 20. One says 30, 15, 12. Okay, so it looks like there's a variety. Looks like the lowest one so far is saying 10. The upper ones are closer to like the 20 to 30 range right there. And because it's like, so right there, you might be underpricing yourself a bit right there, which isn't necessarily bad. It could mean that like you could get, a lot of people buying. It looks like this person said that they just did a Google search, and it looks like the prices range from $13 to $30. So right there, I mean, you're less than those guys right there. And again, I don't know what your margin is or anything like right there, but you could do like Facebook ads where you can maybe even give this away for free and just say, hey, that's the shipping. Or you could say, hey, you're selling it for like $6 right there, or 6 pounds, or whatever it might be, then charge like a few extra pounds for the shipping to basically cover your costs a bit more right there. But definitely what you want to do at that point is this would be kind of like your impulse buy. So like anyone that sees this says, hey, for less than $10, this is a pretty good deal. It might even be like a joke, like they might get like a picture of themselves on it as like a joke, or it might be like a picture of a dog that a person likes that they think, hey, they'd really enjoy that. It's a cheap impulse buy, but then after that, you'd want to have some upsells depending upon who you're trying to market. So if you're trying to market only to dog people, you want to have an example of like, make sure the ad you have has, an example of a dog on it. You can clone the exact same thing and market to cat people and have a picture of a cat on it. And then you can clone the exact same thing and market it to like the general population and have like basically a picture of yourself on it or anything you want right there. But in each case, you could have a funnel afterwards. Like if someone buys it, let's say for their pets, and they have a picture of their cat or the dog on it, that, hey, if they're in the cat funnel, you can follow it up with some offers related perhaps to cats, like maybe some cat toys or anything like that. Or if you say, hey, I want to target this to everyone and not care if it's a cat or a dog or a person, some of the upsells could be phone related. So you could sell phone accessories and stuff like that that lines up with that right there. And to get ideas, you can go to AliExpress or Alibaba. I like AliExpress more, and just see like what kind of products people are selling related to any of those niches, and try to create like a little funnel yourself right there. So Sean, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's all good.
Yeah, and then one last thing, for every product that you have, you want to make sure that you really specifically target the words well in the title tags. Like right here, customized dog phone case for iPhone. People that would search for that on Google probably won't search for a customized dog phone case for the Apple iPhone. They'll search for customized dog phone case for the Apple iPhone 8 or the X or the XR or whatever it might be right there. So definitely you probably want to have those in your title right there, and definitely make sure that the picture and stuff matches up. Like if you say it's a dog case and there's not like a picture of a dog on it, it can scare off some right there. So we'll do, should we maybe pause right here and go to the kind of like the Q&A, Sean? And
yes, I think so, because we only got about 10 minutes left. So
yeah, so there's a handful left, but we'll save some for next week. And there actually were some pretty good ones for next week that we just don't have time to get through all them right here, including some that I thought were leaving a lot of money on the table by just like easy things that they could change right there. So we'll save some for next week. But if you have any questions right now, let us know. And in the meantime, make sure you go to getwebfire.com/FB group and click the join button if you're not a free member of that yet. And Sharon will approve you within a minute. And then I'll just go to, I'll show you where to leave comments. I'm just refreshing the page really quick.
hey, yeah, back to the custom case for a minute.
Yeah.
Where you're switching. So, Brad was doing the smart thing and doing a quick search to see like, okay, so what is it, what are other people charging for these kind of cases, and found that Shutterfly, which is a pretty well-known company, if you guys don't know, is charging $44.99, $44.99, which would be like whatever, 30 or 35 pounds. So that's a great comparison when you're giving people the value. It's like, okay, so I'm giving this to you for X or free plus shipping, and other people are selling the same thing for, $45 or 35 pounds, right? It's a very big comparison thing to be able to do that.
Yep, that's a great point, especially like the name brand sites and stuff like that charge like a lot more. You can really stand out big time. All right, so you want to go to our Facebook group page, which again, just go to getwebfire.com/FB group, and then scroll down. You'll see an announcement from Sharon from 37 minutes ago right here, asking what you thought of today's call, and you'll just click on the comment right here, and you leave one comment there, so just one right there, and we'll pick a random winner from that. We'll actually do a drawing live in just a few minutes right here. So you can leave any comment you want, what you thought of the call, maybe a suggestion for a future call, anything like that. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I know Sean and Sharon have been answering a lot of questions while I've been talking in the chat. But if you have anything left over, feel free to ask as well.
Yeah, so let me drop through a couple, Brian, while you're catching up, okay?
Sure.
So one, Natalie asked, are you allowed to name other brands on your site with price comparisons? Absolutely, as long as you're telling the truth. I mean, you screenshot somebody else's offer and you say, look, they're charging this, we're charging this, take your pick. You're allowed to do that. So as long as you're being fair and truthful, yes. Richard asked, Brian, there's a good question for you. Would you create a schema for each product in the pet store?
You could, but it's so there's multiple different kinds of schemas. There's some that are site-wide, which means like you only have to do it once and it applies to the whole site. For an e-commerce site, you can do a schema for each one individually, which that would be like if you want to list the price of each product in the stock and stuff like that. So you certainly could. If you had like 1,000 random products in your store, might not be worth the time immediately, but definitely for like main ones and stuff like that, you certainly could right there. Here's a suggestion from Alexandra, who says, do we have any suggestions on how to outsource product descriptions to basically rewrite stuff from like the manufacturer, because they say English is their second language. So yeah, in fact, that's actually a great thing that you know, you realize, like, if English is your second language, yeah, there's probably yeah, it's not a bad idea to make sure the stuff is written well and all that. But you could go to, I mean, you could probably find almost any writer on like you know, a lot of classified sites like Craigslist and stuff that could probably do that stuff fairly cheap. You could also go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and probably find guys that can do that stuff fairly cheap as well. You could probably even use the Mechanical Turk, which I think is just mturk.com, and I'm guessing for like a quarter or 50 cents, you could probably get each one done there. Where you know, if it's a pretty easy task for guys just to rewrite some easy stuff right there. But yeah, those are all places right there. All right. This person asked, okay, so Francis, I think the call that you are referring to was last week's call. So yeah, this week was on the website site analysis. Last week was on ways to make sales without a website. So make sure to watch the recording of that if that's what you were interested in. All right. Seeing if there's any other questions. Okay. All right. All right. Here's a question from Norma, and I think you sent in a site, because I know the question you had, I see, and your site, don't think that's one that we got to, but we will probably next week, unless you might be, I'm not sure which site you are offhand. I have my notes down, but I don't recall offhand. But she basically said she was, and then I'll talk more about this next week too, but she basically said that she was spending about $5 a day on Facebook ads for a Shopify store, and she says the product seems to be a winner. Okay, that doesn't, okay, so she's running $5 a day Facebook ads. So I think she's running multiple ads for $5 a day, and she says she's spending around 30 to 40 bucks a day, but only seemed to be getting around basically 20 hits a day off that. What seems to be the problem? Well, it could be a bunch of things. So basically, you're overpaying for your hits. So you're paying like $1.50 to $2 a click, which could be a bunch of things. It could be maybe you're targeting not all that well, so you're paying a lot more. Maybe the actual ad you have isn't terribly appealing, so you're basically getting a lot less clicks. You know, it could be heaps of different things. It could also be that maybe they go to your site and what they see is a bit, you know, incongruent with what the ad was. So I'd really have to see the ad and stuff itself. But anytime you're paying more, you know, for clicks, especially if it's for like simple low price stuff that's meant to be more of like an impulse buy or like a mass market, then like dog stuff and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you have a decent ad, a decent offer, like that really pops out, that really is an impulse buy, like free plus shipping usually is, you know, is like a good impulse buy. And you also want to make sure that you have a good back end where you don't just make money off the front product, but you have several back ends or essentially upsells that you can make more off of. You want to make sure the ad, you know, really pops out. You want to make sure the sales page or the opt-in page is very simple and congruent and has an easy offer. Yeah, now outside of that too, there's also other tricks. So I oftentimes like to send like Facebook ads to like an opt-in page or to like a simple sales page. But in some cases, you can also try, now this wouldn't necessarily be suggested for like an impulse buy, but in some cases, you could send them to like a blog post. And a blog post, usually the clicks are ridiculously cheap compared to like a sales page. And if you do a good job of like showing off the stuff in the blog post and you have a good call to action and stuff, you can get some fairly cheap clicks that way. Like if you had a case study for like the dentist site or for like the social media for dentists, if you had a case study, you could probably get some fairly cheap clicks off that. And then you'd want to have a decent call to action at the end of that right there. But I'd really have to see what the ad is and what that is. So feel free if you want to take some screenshots of that, you can send that in to our support. And then next week we'll try to get some time, and I'd be happy to take a look at that and give some tips based upon that. So feel free to do that. All right. All right, this person says here, is it too late to start an e-com campaign for the Black Friday weekend? No, it's not too late, I'd say, but definitely you want to start it. I mean, you're waiting for until like the very last minute of course, but you'd want to jump on that now. But also, you'd probably be competing against a lot of other ads at the same time. So it depends on what your offer is, what the product is. So you definitely can like try it out and see if you have everything ready. But I wouldn't wait too long if you try that out right there. But definitely there's also some time prior to Christmas and stuff, but you would also want to jump on that like immediately, if not like several weeks ago. Okay, and yes, if you're on this call, you should get a reminder each week for each call. But we also have an announcement on the Facebook group page and stuff here as well. But they're every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a new training call. So with that, should we give some money away, Sean?
No, we should keep it.
All right, sounds like a plan. All right, so I'll just refresh this page.
Come on, if you're going to ask it that way, Brian, I say, Brian, let me give you 50 and you give me 50 and we'll call it even.
Sounds like a solid plan.
I don't know why people aren't thinking that's the best idea.
All right, so I'll give you guys maybe 10 more seconds to leave a comment right here. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. All right, and so far it looks like there's only one that actually posted outside in the wrong area. That's fine. We'll actually count that one though. So that's fine. Person that wrote in the wrong box there. I see someone's typing. If that's you, type really, 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 really fast. Okay, 5 seconds. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So the 1 plus 34. So we have 35 in total. All right, go to random.org right here. Who do you think the winner will be, Sean?
Let's see, what's tomorrow? Thanksgiving's on the 22nd, 22.
All right, we'll see.
Complete logic in this.
30. All right. All right, now this person was a bit late, so I saw that the last one in was this one right here. So to be fair, I'll count back from there. So we have 34. Okay, 35. Yep. All right. So this was 34, 33, 32, 31, and 30. All right. So Tron Freeman, if this is you, or looks like you, and you're work at Otago Health, and you studied creative arts and design, congratulations, you are $100 richer, or you will be as soon as you post up your PayPal email to Sharon in the chat box. So just post up your PayPal email there, and she'll get you paid $100 shortly this afternoon as soon as you post up your PayPal email in the chat box. So once again, congratulations to Trond Freeman for being this week's Wednesday Marketing Webinar winner. So with that, I want to again thank you all for being on this call. And again, we will try to go through the rest of the sites next week. So if you sent a site in and we didn't get your site, no worries. As a side note, there was one site that was completely in Spanish. I can't help too much in that because I can't really read most of what it's saying. But if the person that sent that, if they had an English one, I'd be happy to help with that. But again, next week we'll have some more websites and stuff that we will go through. And with that, if you have any other questions or anything like that, you can feel free to write support@webfire.com, or if you go to the members area, you can click the help desk for the support tab and reach us there. And if you missed part of this call or want to see a recording of it, you can just log into the members area, click on the training, then click on the Wednesday calls, and within a day or so, you'll see this at the very top right there. So within a day or so, you'll see the latest recording at the very top right there. And for those of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving, hope you have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. I actually, for whatever reason, I feel like I'm like a couple days away from Thanksgiving. It's not actually tomorrow, even though it is. Yes, this week has flown by pretty fast right there. So I hope you all have happy and great Thanksgiving if you're celebrating that. If not, hope you have a good, normal Thursday lunch or dinner. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you next week, again, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, any other questions, just reach out to us at support@webfire.com. So with that, have a great day, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.